Hello everybody, this is ManuS and welcome back to another Legends of Runeterra spoiler review. Time to finally catch up on some spoilers. I've didn't really find the time to review them the last couple days, so now we're gonna catch up in this video on Soraka and the miscellaneous spoilers that came the day after, and then in the next one or two videos I'll finish the Demacia and Shyvana dragon spoilers that we had the last 2 days. So yeah. Before we dive right in, you know the drill. If you haven't already, hit the subscribe button down below. Only takes a couple seconds and really helps the channel grow. And you don't miss out on future content. And now let's take a look. Alright, so first off, we have Soraka as we expected. She's gonna pair really well with Tahm Kench and even better, arguably, with the new Bilgewater units that damage themselves, like for example Boxtopus turn 2, followed by a turn 3 Soraka with a tech token, is incredibly powerful. To be fair, outside of that context, I think the pre-leveled Soraka actually doesn't even seem that impressive, but keep in mind that she levels fairly quickly. You've healed damaged allies 4+ times, so she doesn't even need to see it, so she doesn't even need to be in play. Also, pretty sure she counts for herself, so if she's damaged and she attacks and then heals herself and the unit she supports that is already half her level up. And then once she's leveled, she actually becomes pretty powerful. First of all, she's a 3-cost 2/7, which makes her super durable, and then the first time you heal a damaged ally each round, draw a card. So basically kind of like Jinx, she allows you to draw 2 cards a turn in most cases, but the condition to get there is kind of easier to hit in a way because you don't have to warp your deck around it as much. Plus you now have these Bilgewater synergies that make it so much easier to have a damaged ally to heal up. And then on support she still heals, but instead of heal 4 she heals full, which honestly usually doesn't make much of a difference. I think heal 4 is a lot, and most realistic cards in the game are fully healed with heal 4. But there are exceptions, so it's like a minor power bump. And then her champion spell is Wish, fully heal damaged allies. So it's a slow spell that heals all damaged allies. I think this card's actually quite bad and not even that great of a champion spell, but okay, I guess. It's at a similar level as Zap Magic, arguably worse. So this card will see 0 play and is a pretty weak champion spell, especially given that instead of using the spell you could just attack with Soraka and then you usually don't have anything to do with Wish anymore. So that card seems really bad to me, like utterly useless in a way. Then again, I guess there is some minor synergy with the Bilgewater cards that actually is gonna make Zap Magic a bit better and a bit more interesting in Maokai Bilgewater decks. So that's like another interesting angle there. Then we have Astral Protection. It heals an ally for 4 and grants it +0/+4, so effectively gaining it up to 8 health depending on whether or not it's damaged and how damaged it is. So it's really good at keeping stuff alive, but I think it's too expensive, too clunky for being defense only, that and you can't split it between like 2 allies. Like if you could heal one and give health to another, then it would be great. But I think the way it is, the card also seems kind of underwhelming. But maybe it plays better in context than it looks right now, but I think it's a lot of cost for defensive only gain. It's basically kind of similar to, say, a Riposte, except you don't get the +3/+0, which is a pretty big deal. So if you compare it to effects like Riposte or Fury and stuff, it seems really weak. And then as the last card we have Stargazer. It's a 4-cost 3/4, and when you heal a damaged ally, give it elusive this round. So this is pretty sweet. 4-cost 3/4 is obviously a bit below the curve, but the elusive thing is kind of a big deal, especially with Soraka. That usually means if Soraka is damaged and you attack, support another damaged ally, they both heal and they both get elusive, making this a really nice sort of combo package, and it's pretty clearly designed for that. So Soraka Stargazer seems like a pretty cool sort of core combination for a Soraka deck that will add a lot of power to Soraka, I think, because otherwise she is like very sort of defensive and utilitarian, but the fact that she draws a card once she leveled makes her pretty powerful. So she's going to be a really annoying card to play against, because 6 or 7 health that only basically gives you like 1 turn to finish her off will be a big problem for a lot of regions, and therefore making her really obnoxious in your board, like really, really sticky. Alright, this brings us to the second badge. Let's take a look at the miscellaneous spoilers for the like off regions that are not primarily featured in the new expansion. First off, we have patched Porobot. It's a 2-cost 2/3, and while in hand, it has a random keyword that changes each round. And when he's summoned, he gets that keyword permanently. So pretty good actually. Like there are a bunch of keywords where like 2-cost 2/3 with that keyword is exceptional. Like for example, if Patch Porobot gets Challenger permanently, really, really good. If he gets Elusive permanently, really, really good depending on the deck, and so on. There are a couple of really nice options. Tough is pretty decent too. There are obviously also like a bunch of less impressive ones. It also depends a bit on what deck it's in, but this is pretty interesting and like a solid 2-drop, since a 2-cost 2/3 with upside is usually a pretty good starting place for 2-drop. So yeah, I could totally see this seeing play in the right decks and having a nice impact. Then we have our first new counterspell basically after Deny. It's once again Ionia, of course. It's called Nopify. Clearly a nod to Lulu here. It's a 2-cost fast spell, and you stop a fast or slow spell that costs 3 or less. So it's yeah, it's a pretty nice and interesting spell here. Depends a bit on how playable, it depends a bit on the metagame how playable it will be. But if there are enough fast and slow spells that are cheap around, which often is the case, like removal and so on, this is a pretty great option at stopping a lot of like the impactful efficient removal, be it Flock, stuff like Make It Rain that hits really well. And if it doesn't hit well, you don't need to Nopify it. This card seems really great and a pretty nice addition to bringing Ionia, especially like proactive Ionia, more back into things. Since right now Ionia is basically reduced to Lee Sin Z as like the one thing that is particularly obnoxious, but other than that, the region doesn't really have anything to offer, and maybe this will broaden the options a bit more, especially because they might also pull back the whole Lee Sin Z thing a bit. Next we have Traverse Noosebottom. Pretty funny name. It's a 3-cost 0/3. Once again, not a big fan of no attack supporters. And yeah, on support you create an attacking Mumble Sprite with the supported ally stats. A Mumble Sprite is an ephemeral elusive unit. The base stats here as an example are 1/1, but it gets the stats of the unit you support. So it kind of does a sort of pseudo Z thing to cloning the unit, but giving the clone elusive. Problem is, he's a 3-cost 0/3 that needs to get into combat, and if a 1-cost 0/2 that actually does some decent stuff with support doesn't really see play or isn't really constructed playable, I doubt this will be much better. I don't know, maybe someone will prove me wrong, but I'm highly skeptical of this. I don't like especially more expensive units with fragile stats. Like 3 health still is within the range of not even surviving the first combat, especially by round 3 the opponent will usually have units that can just block and kill it for free. So yeah, this seems like seems to me like a similar dud as Pix. And last but not least, we have the University of Piltover, a new landmark. At round start, you discard your hand. I assume this happens before you draw, but I'm not entirely sure. I think the round start stuff usually happens before you draw. I'm not entirely sure. If it doesn't, if it discards the card you draw, it's certainly worse, because it basically means you skip your draw step, so you never draw a card from your deck again. And instead you create 3 random cards in hand and grant them fleeting. It seems very reasonable that the card would discard the card you draw that turn. So basically, sort of, instead of drawing a card each turn, you mill your deck 1 card a turn, because you still draw the card and then immediately discard it. And then instead gets 3 random cards. So you basically, instead of drawing from your deck, have these random cards, but you have a lot more resources. It's obviously a really powerful effect, but it's also a very like all-in effect and kind of high variance effect. Reminds me a bit of cards like Knuckle Bones in Eternal for my like Eternal viewers and former Eternal players playing Runeterra. But yeah, we'll see how this plays. It's certainly a cool card and potentially pretty powerful, although there will be a lot of people that won't like it because it's this RNG thing. But yeah, 5 is actually not that expensive and the impact is super powerful, so this seems like a really interesting sort of reason to potentially be Piltover and build around with Piltover, which is nice because Piltover also could really use some help with its identity, since while Ionia still has Lee Sin Z, Piltover doesn't really have anything right now, honestly. So University of Piltover might be sort of the new champion-like card for Piltover, for people to as a reason for people to go into Piltover and build around it and sort of try to grind people out with this. And yeah, certainly going to be at least a fun card to mess around with and create like kind of cool, interesting lab-like games. But we'll see how powerful it is and how healthy it's going to be. By the way, quick shout out to Cosmic, who put together this nice cutout. The screenshots on the Reddit Discord were really blurry and poor quality, and this was very convenient and also made me not having to go through the hassle of like pausing the Twitter video a million times till the like resolution has stabilized, because the problem is you can't really select your resolution on these Twitter videos. You just basically have to like run them over and over and wait till they sort of set themselves to HD, hopefully. And it's really, really annoying, and I hate that Riot isn't even like putting all these videos on YouTube, or if they put them on YouTube, it's like way too late. I think they usually only put the champion reveal ones on YouTube, and they also don't give us graphics. So please, Riot, if you're listening, please put out HD graphics of the cards you preview so people can make content about them with proper quality. Like, it's in everybody's best interest. Like, why would you make people go through like shoddy Twitter videos that you can't even select the resolution with and take poor screenshots and then cut them out. So yeah, that's it for this batch. Let me know what you think of the spoilers. We're almost through with the spoilers. Set is coming out tomorrow, if I'm not mistaken. So we'll probably get it like tomorrow evening as usual, so Wednesday evening, and we'll get the patch notes this evening. And yeah, until then, if you enjoyed the content, hit the subscribe button, turn on notification icon to not miss out on future content, and don't forget to smash that like button on your way out. And yeah, that's it again for this time. I'm your host ManuS. Thank you for watching, and I'll see you next time.